Andrea, tell us about what's here today, this Optimism Bootcamp.
Optimism Bootcamp is the keynote that I chose to be at the Women's Leadership Symposium. And the reason I chose optimism is it's in the top 3 of factors that determine success for young women and men. And it's something that we have a lot of control over.
How do you bring this to a group of young women like this?
Well, there's a young woman here named Nicole Bertrand, who's a former student of mine, and Matt Karen, who's also a former student of mine, and they had an idea to bring this together, and they just start petitioning the community and essentially saying that we can't necessarily change the economic climate at this time, but we certainly can change our approach. There's so much we can do.
So give us a few examples of that.
Okay, so an example of that is the glass half full or the glass half empty. You could look at the economic situation in Windsor and say that we are tied right now for unemployment, or you could say one of the strengths of the community is the fact that everybody is such an incredible support system. I've never been anywhere in this world where people are so friendly, and I've lived and worked in many places. So you could look at it from a negative perspective, which is more cynical and pessimistic, and just focus on the numbers, or you can focus on the strengths of the community. And that's the intention of my talk, and that's the intention of my work in positive psychology, is focusing on strengths.
How important is being positive? Like, I mean, people can always say that, yes, you should be positive, that things look up, you know, the secret, everything will come around better. How does that really work, though?
You know, that's an excellent point. It's not just about positive thinking. It's the fact that optimism and the positive thoughts associated with it allow you to persevere through the difficulty. So if you can see the other side of it and you believe that you can make it through, so by focusing on times in your past that you've been successful or times that you are, and you have a vision, so essentially it's those thoughts, but the thoughts give you energy to move. And that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm calling it Optimism Bootcamp. It's fitness for the mind.
When things are looking dire, though, and you're just in a slump, maybe for some of these young people, it's tough out there finding their first job or a good job. How do you turn that around? I mean, it's easy to say it, but how do you do it?
No, excellent point. It's about momentum. So instead of thinking of the problem, some big, huge problem that you can't find a job, you break it down and you meet with different agencies like today that are here and ask, could I come in and could I do maybe a 5-hour internship here, a 5-hour internship there, and begin to develop skills, make connections, and then opportunities do open up because there's always room for excellence. There's always room for excellence. So my talk is the whole idea of transforming adversity. Like, I do see reality. It's not that we don't see reality as optimists, but we see a way from greater opportunity. It's like a jumping off point. And I want to give them the tools for that. You guys should stick around.
So when you're looking at, besides bigger than this group that's here, which is a nice looking group, who are probably already bubbling with optimism for the most point, they see. For everyone else in the city, though, especially people who are kind of at hard times, how do you say somebody who's 40 or 50, and how do you get them to change that mindset a little harder when they're older?
Well, the first thing I would do, and that's an excellent point, is change is really about 3 factors. One, you have to be open to change. You actually want to change, or are you really enjoying those catastrophic thoughts? Because they can feel kind of good. It's they can feel good, so you have to be willing to release it. Are you willing to change, and are you honest about how you've contributed to it? So once again, start small and see how willing are you to change, and then perhaps come and sit in on one of my classes or check out my Twitter or my website. And one of the things I do more than ever is I try to shift people no matter where I go. So if I saw that person, then I would try and find a strength with them. So they have to be willing. They really have to be willing. And then there's a way. There's always a way.
So you're looking at this group of young people today. Is it a good thing that they've come here and that they've gathered here to learn some of this stuff today?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to take in information and network, but as I was saying earlier, it's about the movement. So this is just a jumping off start. So you better be willing, open, and honest with yourself. Are you going to connect with the keynote speaker? Are you going to connect with some of the different groups around? So you have to do the work too. So we're opening the door, but I encourage many of my students at St. Clair to come, and a lot of them are here. So they were hoping for 160, and they actually had to get increased sponsorship because we have over 200 that have signed up. In fact, 220, and we really just started advertising seriously about 7 days ago. There's a hunger.
So that's a good sign.
It's awesome. It's a great sign.
So working with St. Clair, are you finding that students, as years go on, are in more need of that kind of lift, that jumping off point?
I would say 100% for sure, because we're in a community, and I've been teaching at St. Clair, I'm in my 10th year now, where it's, if the student isn't personally affected by the big three in terms of layoff, somebody in their family is. And so for myself, I teach psychology at St. Clair, and as many as 20 different programs I taught in. So really for me, teaching is about shifting them in that moment to show them that they can do it, that they're capable of doing it, and everybody's really open to a shift. Teaching to students, they're open. Sure, there's been perhaps it's more of a struggle in finding a job, but that's a fact. So what are you going to do about it? That's the way I look at it.
If people want to learn more about you and your philosophy, how can they find out more?
They can go online to positivepsychologytalks.com or just Google Dr. Andrea Dinardo, and I'm